All right, integrated 3. Here is your lesson, the last lesson of the 2019-2020 school year. It's on a shape called the hyperbola. So we'll kind of keep it short and sweet, kind of stick to what you need to know for the test and get us going there. So first off, how do you know you have a hyperbola? You have fractions and minus n equals 1. If you'll recall, the ellipse had plus in the middle. It's a similar idea, but it has minus for hyperbolas. Now, the key thing to look for is x first or is y first? So if x is first, when you make a hyperbola, and this is a very basic sketch of one, when you have x first, it's going to be two branches of parabolas going sideways. Okay, so if your x is first, it's going to open to the x-axis, if x is first. If y is first, then the branches will open up and down like this. It will open with the y-axis versus the x-axis. So again, if x is first, it's going to be sideways. If y is first, it's going to be up and down. Now you'll notice that the foci equation, this point that you've got to find, is found by doing c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now if you remember right, that was very similar to the equation for foci of the ellipse. The difference though is, again, plus. The way that I remember it is if my general equation has minus in it, then it'll be plus here for the foci. Now, there's a little bit more information that you need here about asymptotes. Now, we've seen asymptotes before. Remember the fence for the dog, it runs closer and closer but does not touch. Let's come back to the idea of the equation of the asymptotes here in just a second, and I'll give you a little bit of an idea of how to find those. Okay, so let's jump straight into this. Let's go right to where we need to go. First question here. Okay, if you had to guess what the center was, you should say the center is 0, 0. There's nothing with x, there's nothing with y, center of 0, 0. Okay, now if you had to guess how far you go, again, you don't know what this looks like yet and how to put it together, but you'd probably say in the y direction you should go 2 units because the square root of 4 is 2 and that's under the y. And you'd say in the x direction I would go 3 units because the square root of 9 is 3. So now here's how you make a hyperbola. Okay, pretty simple to do, but you got to follow along, make sure that you see. So the first thing you want to do is plot the center, put a point in the middle at 0, 0. Now what you do is you go out 3 in the x direction, 1, 2, 3, but instead of putting a point, you're going to put a tick mark there. A little mark where 3 is, and go back 1, 2, 3. A little mark where 3 is. Okay, in the y direction, you're going to go 2, up 2, down 2. Okay, and now from here, you're going to make a dotted box. And the box is formed by the boundaries that you just made when you went out 3 and up and down 2. So again, where I went out 3, that's the edge of my box. Where I went up 2, that's the edge of my box. Now the next thing you're going to do is through the corners of the box and through the center, you're going to make the asymptote. Okay, so the way you make that is you will dot it in through the center and through the corner of the box. You'll notice how I went through the center and through the corners of the box there. I'm going to do the same on this side here, this set of corners of the box here. Okay, just like that. Alright, so now from here, here's what you do. Since y is first, the branches are going to open with the y. So what you're going to do is on the box, on the dotted box, in line with the center, you're going to put a point on the box in line with the center along the y-axis. Okay, and then all you do is you just draw in, and again, this is just a sketch, it's not perfect, but you draw in 2 branches of a parabola. And again, the dog does not touch the fence. It runs as close as it can, just as we always have with asymptotes, as close as it can, but it does not touch. Okay? Now, the next thing you want to find are the foci. Okay, now to find the foci, you'll do c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Okay, so c squared equals, now it doesn't matter which one you call a and which one you call b for what we're doing, but eventually you'll need to know that the a squared is always the first thing and the b squared is always the second thing. But that's a topic for your next class. So c squared is going to equal 4 plus 9, the two bottoms, a squared and b squared. C squared is going to equal 13. You're going to square root each side, and c is going to equal plus or minus radical 13. Now that's going to get, just like for an ellipse, added and subtracted to the center. But if the branch is open with y, you're going to add and subtract to the y. So this is going to be 0, 0 plus the square root of 13. Well, that's still just square root of 13. And 0, 0 minus the square root of 13. That's going to make negative square root of 13. Okay? Now, let you in on a little secret. I don't think there's a foci question on the test for this. You will have to be able to tell if it's a hyperbola, but I don't think you have to do the foci. But I think on the test, if I remember right, that I picked a question that does ask for the equations of these asymptotes. Okay, so here's a quick integrated one review for you. So in order to write the equation of these asymptotes, you need a point and the slope of the line. The point that you're going to use is 0, 0. Whatever the center is, you're going to use that. And then you're going to look at the slope. Now, how do you figure out the slope? Just figure out how you get from the center to the corner of the box. That's how you'll find the slope. You're going to go up 2 and over 3. So again, watch that. From center to corner of the box, I go up 2 and over 3. So my slope is going to be, now watch this, plus or minus 2/3. Because again, you'll go up 2 over 3, and you'll also go up 2 back 3. Now, the best form to put this in would be point slope form. And maybe you remember from integrated 1, point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, you should have learned that in integrated 1. So what this y1 and x1 is the center. So you're going to say y minus 0, because 0 is y1, equals plus or minus 2/3 times x minus 0. You can leave it in that form, and that's fine. You could drop these zeros if you want, because 0 doesn't affect anything, and you would make it y equals plus or minus 2/3 x. That would be good as well, if you want to leave it that way. Okay, so that's the way we do it. Let's do a couple more, and then this will close out our work. I'm probably going to have to do the next one and then one other video for the last two. Okay, so letter B, center. There's nothing with x, there's nothing with y, it's 0, 0. So 0, 0 is where we're going to start from. We're going to go 4 in the x direction. We're going to go 1 in the y direction. See, there's an over 1 for that y. So we're going to go 4 in the x direction to make our box. And we're going to go 1 in the y direction. So up 1, down 1, back 4, over 4. And then we're going to dot in a box. Okay, based on those dimensions. Okay, next thing you want to do is grab for your ruler, and you're going to go through the center and the corners of the box. Again, this is dotted. Everything's dotted here because it's not actually part of the graph. Like when you actually see a hyperbola graph, you won't see these dotted things. Okay, but we need it as a graphing aid so that we can get stuff in the right spot. Now, because x is first, since x is first, we're going to make the branches open with the x. So along the center, on the box, put 2 points, and then the parabola will open sideways. Okay, and there is how you make the hyperbola. Now, as far as the foci go, foci will be c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So c squared is going to equal 16 plus 1. So c squared equals 17. Square root, c equals plus or minus radical 17. That's going to get added and subtracted to the center along the major axis. The major axis or where the branches are, pardon me, is with the x, so it's going to get added and subtracted to the x. Wherever the branches are, that's what you add and subtract to. So it's going to be square root of 17, comma 0, because 0 plus that, and then 0 minus it, negative square root of 17, comma 0. And there are your two foci. Okay. Now, lastly, we want to find the equation of the asymptotes. You're going to need, and I'm going to do that right here, asymptotes. You're going to need the center, the point on there, 0, comma 0, and the slope. The slope to make the box was to go up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means that the slope is plus or minus 1/4. Up 1 over 4 or up 1 back 4. That's why you use plus or minus. And then you want to write it in point slope form. Y minus 0 equals plus or minus 1/4 times x minus 0, point slope form from integrated 1. Okay, I'm going to pause there. I need to set up a second video and finish off these last two questions. So come back to the next video.